But, one of the things I wanted to cover, you had to check 60 Minutes last night just to see if Andrew McCabe would be guest hosting it this week. He's been on 2 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. And while they didn't have him on 60 Minutes, CBS dutifully had him on another program for now the third week in a row, and that was Face the Nation.
He's producing some of their content on a regular basis.
Apparently so. I guess he's a regular. So, and one of the things that he talked about was his response to the Manafort sentencing, which Paul Manafort, as we know, got sentenced to 48 months in prison, so 4 years. He's 70 years old. He's going to be 74 or maybe 73 when he gets out, if he gets out 85% time served. But, and of course, he's still yet to be sentenced by another court in which he's got charges and guilty pleas pending. So, but during this broadcast, it was kind of discussed with Andrew McCabe, and he was suggesting that he thought that he more than suggesting, because he said he was shocked. I'm shocked that gambling in this establishment. Now, he was shocked at the sentence. He thought it was way too light on Manafort for what that man did. He ought to die in jail, is essentially what Andrew McCabe thinks. And then I just thought it was interesting because this is supposed to be a law enforcement guy, right? And remember, Manafort pleaded guilty to things like not reporting things properly on his taxes, not registering as a foreign agent, lobbyist, that kind of thing. He didn't plead guilty to conspiring with Russia to undermine our elections or being an agent of the Russian government or anything like that. And folks, don't you think if there was even a scintilla of evidence of any of that type of activity that he would have been charged with that? I mean, that's what the Mueller investigation was looking for.
New word I just learned.
What's that?
Scintilla.
Scintilla. So, if they found
Did you know that one, Pat George?
No.
I'm sorry, guys.
I wish I could go back and retake the SAT.
They found even a small amount of evidence. A small amount of evidence. Then we would have heard about it because that was the whole point of the investigation, right? Was Russian collusion. That's what it was supposed to be trying to find. And if they'd found any of that, we'd have known, but they didn't. And so that's the point. So even though we've had this 2-year investigation, plus the FBI did its own investigations, and so on and so forth, here's what Andrew McCabe has to say about it. Now, he was asked about this exact issue, about the fact that Paul Manafort was charged in relation to financial crimes. And the question was asked to Andrew McCabe, quote, do you believe that he was a Russian asset? So do you believe Paul Manafort was a Russian asset? And here's what Andrew McCabe said, and I'm quoting now. I don't know the answer to that. I think that Mr. Manafort's extensive involvement with Ukrainian and Russian actors is highly suspicious. I think that's something that we'll wait to see what the Mueller team opines on with their final conclusion. And he goes on to say some more, but point is, he is voicing his suspicions in public. He's a law enforcement officer. I'm sorry, has this investigation concluded? What's the evidentiary basis of his suspicions? Oh, wait, there is none. We know there's no evidence because we know we would have heard about it. We know they would have made a big deal about it, folks. And it's getting a little bit hard here because we do a lot of supposing on this show where we look at what's happening and we kind of read between the lines, but nobody necessarily comes out and admits exactly what they're doing. None of these deep state actors come forward and just, lay their cards on the table for us and tell us, yep, this is exactly what we're doing. So nobody admits this, so we have to do a lot of supposing, and we have to do a lot of making our own judgments and conclusions based on the evidence that we can see. But you know what? This keeps getting confirmed as more evidence comes out. So it tells me that we're on the right track. And guys like Andrew McCabe, who are going on television trying to tell us that there's still lots of suspicions about this, those guys are trying to get us onto the wrong track. They're trying to mislead us. And
do you ever think he sincerely believes that?
I don't. I mean, I don't think I don't think Andrew McCabe is sincere. I'm not impressed by his performances on television over the last 3 weeks. I'm not impressed by his job performance. I'm not impressed by his lying to the FBI, which he was caught doing 3 or 4 times on important issues where he was leaking something, which he now claims I was allowed to do that. Well, then why'd you lie about it, buddy? I mean, he was part of the Comey team. They put together this deep state coup against a presidential candidate who they thought was not worthy of becoming president, and a an actual sitting president. So they both tried to unseat Donald Trump as a candidate, and then they've tried to unseat him as president. And a lot of people, are calling that a coup. And there's some reason to agree with that kind of a statement. So, but I do think it's just very transparent what CBS News is trying to do, setting Andrew McCabe up with all these softball interviews and these favorable venues for him to just be able to trot out whatever kind of nonsense he wants to trot out. Nobody's even challenging him. I mean, they didn't challenge him on that. I mean, couldn't they have said, wait a minute, what is your suspicion based on then? Oh, it's based on the fact that he once talked to a Ukrainian or he once talked to a Russian? I mean, are you kidding me? That doesn't stand. That's not law enforcement evidence. I mean, come on. I thought you worked for the FBI. What a joke. What a joke. It's based on your suspicions. Well, you once heard that Manafort once ate at a Russian restaurant. Well, he must be KGB. And that's what we're dealing with.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard. And if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And don't forget to exercise your brain at least once a week.